Good day, everyone. For today, we'll be talking about cyber threats context. In the previous class, we already discussed about cyber threats and what they are. So, the outline for what we'll be discussing today involves a discussion about common threats in schools. We'll also be discussing about case studies of how it relates to schools here in Nigeria. And lastly, we'll be discussing about cyber hygiene. So in the previous class, we defined what cyber threats are, and we said cyber threat is anything or any person that is capable of causing disruption or damage to systems. So bringing it down to today's topics where we are talking about threats in schools. There is this popular misconception that we do have about cyber threats in relation to schools. A lot of schools here in Nigeria believe that cyber attackers only focus their attacks on bank institutions, government agencies, and the likes. But that is actually not the case because most of the cyber attacks that we have, the aim or the end goal of those attacks is to steal away credentials. And by credentials, I just mean anything as simple as details about entities. So if you take a look at it, all schools have a database. By database, I mean records. Have a record of their staffs, the students attending the schools. They have records or information about the parents of these students. So this is what attackers aim to get. So this is a proof that indeed cyber attackers also target schools in Nigeria. So let's take a look at information that schools do keep. We have student records, we have academic data, financial information, and staff data. For instance, the students' records, each school is going to have a record of the names of the students attending the school, the home address of the students, the medical history, and even photographs of the students. So let's try and take a quick look at it. What if this information gets leaked online? What will be the consequence for such a school? Let's also look at the academic data. If exam questions for schools who just opt on the trend of having CBT without having the critical idea of how to manage their systems, how to manage the exam questions and all, but yet they are doing CBT without having all this idea. Let's now look at it. What if these exam questions get leaked online? The consequences that such a school would have to face. Then for the financial information aspects, for paying of tuition and all the details that are being used for these things, what would be the consequence if they get manipulated, if money gets diverted and stuff like that. Then for staff data, the weakest link that attackers do use is the staff. No matter how secure an organization is, if the staff are not secured digitally, then the organization remains weak. So staff data, if it is also leaked online, it also poses a lot of threats to the school management. So now it brings the question, looking at our slide, what makes schools vulnerable? And I have here, schools face unique cybersecurity threats because they rely on shared devices, they have open networks and store sensitive student information and staff information. Let's try and explain that. Most schools have what we call a computer lab, and this computer lab is not just for one particular class. All students in the school would have to come to the class, carry out their practicals, put in their information for the practicals. Then, after that, another set of students will come. So, it is a shared device, and at the end of the day, these same devices will still be used by staffs for either their practicals or any form of engagement that they also have in the school. So it makes the device vulnerable to any type of attack. For instance, a student might just decide to come with a flash drive, insert it just to have his assignment uploaded or something. And when the teacher too wants to download or extract the work he or she has done, he or she inserts a flash drive too, and before you know it, they start sharing malware. So that's one of the issues that we are looking at today. So we'll be looking at the common threats that are faced in schools, and the first one that I have here is called phishing emails. I think I would have to remove the email aspect of it. Let's just explain what phishing is originally. So, what is phishing? Phishing is when attackers send fake emails. Let's remove the email. Send fake, let's say, messages that lock that look legitimate to trick recipients into giving away sensitive information like usernames, passwords, or financial details. The explanation. This type of attack is rampant, has been rampant over the years, and it keeps getting more and more sophisticated as the time is going on. That's where you have, for instance, you have a message from your bank, and the bank is telling you so has tried to log into your account. For you to be able to log the person out, you have to click on this link, visit this page, do this, do that. It comes with a sense of urgency that makes you feel you have to do it immediately. So this type of messages, how do you now identify them? That's the million dollar question. How do you identify these messages, and how do you stay clear of this type of messages? So before we go there, why schools are at risk? Teachers regularly receive official looking emails from the Ministry of Education, other schools or parents, or even the school itself. Now, let's go back to the definition I gave for phishing. It says that the attacker sent an email or a message that looks like a legitimate message. The emphasis there is the legitimate. They don't make it look suspicious. They make it look like it is coming from the principal of the school to the teacher, or from a teacher to the principal, or from Ministry of Education to the principal. It looks like it is coming from a legitimate source, but then it is not legitimate. So that there is a saying we have in security, that trust is an enemy of what? Of security. So that message that you are receiving, the first thing that should come to your mind is, what if it is a phishing message? What if they are just trying to coin away information from me? What if they are just trying to get my credentials? So immediately you see a message, the first thought that should come to your mind is, let me have my security on guard. Do not let your security guard down. So we have why schools are at risk, and teachers regularly receive officially looking emails from the Ministry of Education, other schools, parents, and attackers exploit distrust. So what we are teaching you right now is that you should not trust anything that you see on the digital space. How does it look? An email claiming new exam timetable attached with a malicious link or document. Let me give you an illustration. For a penetration test, if we are going to have an engagement with a bank and we want to send them a phishing mail, what we would send would be something synonymous to maybe your new salary documents, or new salary documentation, or check urgently, or something like that, something that would price up your interest. So when you receive this type of documents online, when you receive this type of news online, or anything it is, maybe a message, a link, or whatever it is, the first thing that should ring in your head is, validate the source, so that you will not fall victim of phishing. So impacts of phishing is loss of login credentials, data theft, or spreading of malware across school systems. Now, all these phishing links, phishing emails, and all, there is always a motive behind it. And the motive is, number one, to try and deceive people into revealing their credentials online. And another one might be data theft. When you review your credentials to them, they can use this credential to get more information about you. And then before you know it, they can have impersonation attack, try to impersonate you, collect money from people who would actually believe that you are the one requesting for this money. So it's as a result of being careless and falling victim of phishing. So spreading malware across school systems, just like I said earlier, most schools use what's it called? They share devices. So if a malware is to infect one system, it is very much easy for the whole school to get infected by this. So virustotal.com, this is a site that uses about 60 search engines to verify the validity of a particular link. So if you are to come across any link that looks suspicious to you, you can visit this site, copy the link. I did not say click on the link, copy the link, paste it on this site, then you can check the validity of the site. It will tell you whether it is malicious or not. What we have on screen right now is just a description of the site. You can see the site I input is freeiphone.com, and this site is telling me that it is malicious. That's where we are seeing the red. Sometimes it might be yellow. Okay, I think we even have yellow here. Suspicious. So in as much as everything on that site is not green, it is advisable for you to just steer clear of the site. So you can use that to verify links that you see to ensure that you do not fall victim of phishing. Moving on, we have malware on shared computers. I think I already explained that briefly, but to go more in depth, what is malware? Malware is a short for malicious wares or malicious software. So what's a software? A software is a piece of code that is written to perform a certain action. What is malicious? From the English word malicious, when you have another intent that is different from the good intent that a particular software is meant to execute. So malicious softwares or malicious ways or malwares, whichever case it is, they are just codes or pieces of code that are written to execute a malicious intent. That is to say, they are codes that are written to carry out damages or cause damage or extract information without authorization. So that's what malwares are. And examples of them is all these times that we do here frequently. We have virus, we have spyware, we have Trojan horse, we have adware, we have ransomware, and the likes. I think for the sake of understanding, let me just explain what virus is. Virus is also a form of malware, but the difference between a malware and a worm is that a virus needs human interaction, whereas a worm does not need human interaction. So, for instance, now, if a file is infected by virus, you have to open the file before it will actually cause harm to your system. That's why when you borrow flash drive, most times it's best to just copy whatever you have in mind to copy and leave every other file out of your business. Unlike worms on their own part, they do not need human interaction. Immediately you put in a flash drive that is infected by a worm, your system becomes corrupted automatically. Okay, so just to show us how to scan flash drives to check for either virus or any form of malware. I have my flash plugged in right now, and the name is my flash. Just right click if you are using Windows 11, click on Show More Options, then click on Scan with Microsoft Defender. This automatically opens your Microsoft Defender, which is the default antivirus installed for Windows 11. I think Windows 10 should also have that installed. So it has already scanned it and it is telling me that no current threats detected on the flash drive. So if the flash drive is having any form of virus or malware, it will automatically scan it, then detect it, then it will segregate that particular file from having access to your system. So if the file is infected, it will just put it in a virus chest and you won't have your system corrupted or infected by that. Okay, so that was just a brief illustration or demo on how we can scan devices connected to our system, not only flash drives, for any device it is, be it external hard disk or whatever it is that is connected to your system. You can run a quick scan on the device to know if it is corrupted and prevent it from also corrupting your system. Then another way in which your system can get corrupted by malware is downloading of softwares or resources online. A lot of teachers, when they want to make their notes, they just go online, visit sites randomly, download PDFs, open PDFs, and anyhow like that, they just get their systems infected. Another type of malware that is also common, often at times gotten from the internet, is what we call ransomware attack. From the English word ransom, this type of malware, what it does is that it encrypts the files on that systems and it demands for a ransom. So the ransom is mostly collected in crypto, yeah, and it comes with a .txt file. When your system is infected with a ransomware, all of a sudden from nowhere you will see a .txt file that will tell you that your files are encrypted and you have to pay a sum of, let's say, $500 or thereabouts to a certain crypto account and all. Let me give us an experience I had. I just got a new system then, so I wanted to download a lot of things, a lot of movies and all. Before I knew it, my system got corrupted and they were requesting for, I think, around $200 then. And that would have been around 200K when Naira to dollar was not really that much. I think it should be around 250K then or thereabouts. So I had to weigh my options. What is the worth of the files I had on my system and what is the worth of the financial constraints that it had to put on me. So I just had to let go of the videos and pictures I had on on my system, then wiped the whole system and started everything again. So we have to prevent this because in the case of schools now, it's more critical. You can't just decide to let go of the files of your students. You can't just decide to let go of the records of your staffs. It would be too critical for schools. So it's best to just avoid them. So moving on, another thing that you can also do to prevent malware attacks is frequent updates of antivirus or system softwares. So, for instance, the Windows Defender that we just used now, if it is outdated, it won't be able to detect new threats. So, one of the things you should also look out for is updating of antivirus and all. Unauthorized access to school data. Remember, I also said that the major thing that attackers aim to get from a cyber attack is what? Is information or data or credential about an entity, an organization, your school, anything data. That is what they aim to get. So it is very paramount that you aim to prevent unauthorized access to your schools data. So, what is unauthorized access? It means that an intruder has gained entry into confidential school information without permission. Emphasis on an intruder and without permission. So, if let's say for instance there is a particular file and the person that is supposed to have access to it is only the principal. If for any reason a staff or all the staffs of that school also have access to that file, then it is an unauthorized access because it is meant to be viewed or to be seen only by the principal. So that is an unauthorized disclosure of information. Let's even take it outside the context of staffs now. So if a parent is seeing records that they are not meant to have access to, that is unauthorized access to school data. So why are schools at risk? We have here that weak passwords, account sharing, unsecured Wi-Fi make it easy for hackers to or even students to break in. Funny how in this current digital age, the current generation know more than the, I don't want to say outgoing generation, but the current generation of students that we have seem to be more enlightened about tech. So if teachers and school management are not conscious about how they manage their security measures in the digital space, these students might overtake us and even have access to things they are not meant to have access to. So I think there should be a session about weak passwords. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. Account sharing. Account sharing is when you have let's say for instance, I want to log in my account on this system, and after doing that, I still go ahead to borrow another teacher's system or even a student's mobile phone, and I log in my credentials, access the school portal on the student's phone, and before I know it, maybe I even forgot to log in or I saved my password on that device. After I've left that particular device, the owner of the device might decide to impersonate me, log in into my account and carry out whichever attack he wants to carry out. We also have unsecured Wi-Fi. There is a lot of danger that comes with Wi-Fi. And in a school network, we have a lot of devices that are connected to the school's network. So if the school's network is not secured enough, then we can have what's it called, different types of attack that might be carried out. We can have people snooping into another person's file through the network and all like that. So it can make it easy for attackers or even students to break in. So how it looks, a student guessing the principal's password to change exam results. I can take a very, very good guess that a lot of us on this call right now, we are using our date of birth or our month of birth as our password. Some of us are even using our password at 2025. We are using our surname at 2025. Some of us are using the name of our first daughters. So all these things like these are easy to guess. And if we do not imbibe good password policy or password practices, they can hijack our accounts. So, what are the impacts of us not being conscious in these aspects? We have loss of trust, compromised students' privacy, and possible legal consequences. Let's take a quick illustration. If the account of the principal of a school gets hacked, let's say our school portal's account got hacked, that would make whoever hacked account have access to students' data, staff data, the school's data, and even files that are sent by the Ministry of Education and other top agencies. So this type of thing would definitely have legal consequences apart from the loss of trust that the person would also have to face. It would have legal consequences and maybe even fines. And like I said earlier, it can even lead to the shutting down of schools. So this is very, very paramount for schools here in Nigeria. So, case studies, we have WhatsApp impersonation. Criminals created fake accounts of principals and teachers to ask parents for money transfers. So, this is one of the issues that was persistent, I think, about a year ago. It's still happening, but it's not as rampant as before, where you just see that so's account has been hacked, beware of scammers. Now, the question is, how did the attack or how did the account get hacked in the first place? So, if we are not conscious of how we manage our accounts, it can lead to things like this. And before you know it, they use your account to ask people for money. And before you know it, your digital reputation is already gone. So, we also have exam portal at someone online some online exam platforms have been breached, allowing attackers to steal and leak questions. Now, I want to believe that a lot of schools here have implemented what we call CBT exams. Maybe some have, maybe some haven't. But for those who have implemented what we call CBT exams, it is very, very important that you also seek to secure the devices that these people are using for the exams and also secure your servers. Because if these questions get leaked, then there is no essence of you holding an exam. So it is very, very important that you ensure that the server, the network, the devices that they are all using is secured from an unauthorized access. So we have university ransomware. Certain Nigerian universities faced ransomware attacks that blocked payroll access until money was paid. Remember when I was explaining ransomware earlier, I told you that they demand money in exchange for your own files. You are the owner of the file, but because you downloaded what you are not supposed to download, they encrypted those files, and now you have to pay them to get your files back. So the real life scenario that we had here is that a Nigerian university had to face that, and their payroll got encrypted, so they could not have what's it called? They did not have the data that was needed for them to pay their staffs until they actually paid the cyber attacker the ransom that he demanded. That's when they were able to get their file back. So another case study this time around outside Nigeria is the United Kingdom in 2019. A phishing email stole teachers' payroll login details. Salaries were diverted to criminals. So this particular attack was a targeted attack. So it was a teacher that fell victim of it. They were able to hijack the login details for a payroll, and they diverted the account in which the salary was paid to. We have USA 2020, multiple schools closed when ransomware disabled grading and lesson system. So for schools that are looking forward to implement what's it called, digital systems for their management of files and all, it's very paramount that as you are planning to move to the digital world, you are also planning along the cyber security measures that you put in place. Then we have Finland in 2021. Hackers breached student counseling records, exposing minor sensitive personal data. There is a law that we call IPA, that's for health. Then a lot of laws like that. So and these laws are not just laws; they are laws that are implemented by the government, such that if for any reason you breach these laws, you are paying a fine. So for this type of attack where the students' counseling records were leaked, probably the student also has a medical history that's required him to visit the counseling unit, and these records are leaked online. So after the school has actually faced the court, they still have to pay fines for breaching these laws. So it is very, very paramount again, like I've been saying, for us to make sure that cybersecurity is implemented in every form, in every aspect of the school management. So moving on to cyber hygiene habits. From the word hygiene, cyber hygiene is like your personal hygiene, your daily habits that you do every day to keep systems and people safe. For schools, it means think before you click, use strong passwords, use unique passwords, keep devices updated, secure shared computers, protect Wi-Fi, back up important data, report problems early, enable multi-factor authentication. All these things would be explained individually. I just wanted us to have an overview of what it is. So, firstly, cyber hygiene. Cyber hygiene refers to the practices that individuals take regularly. Emphasis on regularly. It's not something that you do today, you forget tomorrow, and you come back to pick next week. It refers to practices that are carried out regularly to ensure the safety of digital lives. It's just like brushing your teeth. We all brush our teeth every day. So you cannot implement what's it called, cyber hygiene today, and tomorrow you decide that you don't want to keep the cyber hygiene. It is something that you do continuously every day. So yeah, and the first one I have here is the use of strong passwords. What are passwords? They are the first line of defense. It's a means of authentication that is used to verify that whoever is trying to access whatever is the right person that is actually meant to have access to that thing that he or she is trying to access. So we have weak or reused passwords can easily be cracked by attackers. We have brute force attack, and you have dictionary attack. They are just types of attacks on passwords that attackers can carry out to guess or to get your password if it is not complicated or unique. So the good practices we have here is what we have on screen: use of mix and upper lowercase numbers and symbols. Now, we must have been seeing this around. The essence of us having a mixture of uppercase, lowercase, letters, numbers, and symbols is to help guide against what we call a brute force attack or a dictionary attack that runs, for instance, as we have check now, it runs all the alphabets A to Z, then for H2, it runs H to A to Z and tries to guess the password. It might take time, but it will try to guess the password. So adding what is it called, characters and symbols to the password makes it harder for the system to be able to brute force the password. Then we have avoid personal details like birthdays, using the name of your first daughter, your first son, or your surname at the current year. No, the passwords like that are easy to guess. They never reuse the same passwords across different accounts. For instance, if you are using a password for Facebook, make sure the password you are using for Twitter is different, and the password you are using for your school portal is also different. So if at all there is a breach on your Facebook account, it won't give them automatic access to your school portal, and other practices are on screen. We have enable two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication is just a means or a way of making sure that apart from one security measure that you put in place, you still have another in place. It is like in our distinguished house now, we have a gate, and after that gate you still have a door that is always locked at night. So if at all someone is able to jump over the gate or jump over the fence, the person will not be able to access your home because your door is still locked. So the same thing happens to multi-factor authentication. If at all one of the authentication methods gets breached, the other one would also always be there to lock out the person. And this is very, very, very important, because if at all they get your password or you are careless with your password, you should have something else that will be able to back you up and make your security measures strong enough for them not to have access. So for that we have the likes of OTP pin, use your biometrics or face ID after passwords and all. So it's very, very important, especially for your emails, because having access to your email gives an attacker almost a generic access to anything he wants to do. So the next one we have is regular software updates, updating your systems, updating your phone, updating your apps to make sure that they do not have bugs that will give access to an attacker. Then be cautious of public Wi-Fi. Like we said earlier, there are a lot of threats or attacks that can be carried out over a public Wi-Fi. If it is not a secured Wi-Fi network, then there are a lot of things that can be done. Your packets can be captured, your details can be captured, and before you know it, everything you think you are doing in a safe space is already in the hand of the attacker. So yes, mind what you share online as teachers, as principals, or whatever case it might be. What you share online is very, very important, not only for your students, but also for your own digital safety. What you share online might lead to an impersonation attack on you. If you share too many details about yourself online, they can create a replica of your account, and before you know it, they use the account to scam people and all. Think twice before posting. That's the phrase. Think twice. What I'm about to post, Is there any way it can be used against me? Is there any way it can be used against my identity? Is there any way it can be used against my office? And whatever you are posting, also check it. Check the background, check the foreground. If you are taking a selfie in your office, which is not professional by the way, check to ensure that whatever is showing in the background does not reflect what is on your table, does not reflect or show confidential files and things like that. Okay, regular security checks. Remember, we said hygiene is not a one-time thing. It is something you do regularly. So carry out regular security check, review your accounts, check if your antivirus is up to date, your browsing history, you can clear it regularly to make sure that whoever has access to your system does not have automatic access to your login and all. Review app permissions. There are some apps that what they do is maybe a recording app now that is meant to just record your video is asking for your is asking for access to your bank app or something like that. So check that the app you installed is not asking for another permission that is outside the scope of the app. That's how you can, that's one of the ways you can identify malicious applications on your mobiles and all. So I think this has brought us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much for being attentive, and I hope to see you in the next class.
We are educators. We are Cybersmart. Join us.